डेवलपर्स कम्युनिटी
भेजले पाहिजे.
1 मिनट सेंड कर रहा हूँ। बहुत बड़े डेवलपर आए हैं।
La huitième de finale.
इंग्लिश में है ना सारे सिद्धार्थ
C'est à ça.
Arrête ça, c'est mieux de me bâcher trop.
Hello everyone and welcome to this keynote release for the 2.7 version of Luos. Thanks a lot for joining us today. There is a lot of people on the Discord channel, which is extremely good. Thank you everyone. We still have some issues here because actually the general channel we are using on Discord is completely full. If you can't access the Discord channel, we are working on it and we are trying to increase the number of people able to join this live session. So feel free to check and retry it. And if you can't, you can also follow this live session in any kind of other streaming media, because we are streaming it into a lot of different platforms. So feel free to reach this platform. And if you plan to ask us some questions, it's easier from Discord because we will be able to have live interactions, but you still can ask questions on the other platforms. We also have members of the team following the others platforms, and if you write some text, they will ask me directly the question you ask, and I will be able to reply to these questions. So how this session will go. So I will start by talking a little bit about what's new about this specific new version of Luos. Then I will share with you some news about the community and things happening recently. And after that, we will have a short Q&A session, and you will be able to ask any kind of questions regarding Luos, microservices, or embedded things you have some doubt about or questions about. So feel free to just ask me anything, and I will try to answer it as best as I can. So let's start. Let's start with this 2.7 release. So I will dig into some specific features we developed for this specific release. And I will use these specific feature to give you a little bit more details about why we create those specific features, what was the need, and what is the context of these specific features, by increasing a little bit, explaining a little bit the things around this specific feature. So the first feature I will talk about is about the integration of Luos into something we call the native environment. In the Luos world, native means normal computer. What I mean by normal computer is computer working on Windows, Mac, or Linux. And the idea is to be able to run Luos without any electronic boards. This is mainly for people that want to start and try Luos, but they don't have necessarily the boards allowing them to deal with it. So the idea is to unleash it and allow those people to just test this technology directly from their computer. So to enable these specific features, you just have on your platform.io.ini, which is the main configuration file of your project, to select the native Luos HAL. So this is exactly like selecting a specific board, but this time you just have to select the native one, which is your actual computer. And also we create some examples out of it, allowing you to test the Luos in some native configuration. And this is like some screenshots of this thing. So as you can see, we just create some fake boards with fake buttons and fake LEDs, allowing you to test what's happening when you have multiple boards running these kind of things, and also how to control those virtual boards using Luos. This is only the beginning, and right now you can follow the first part of the Get Started tutorials with the native configuration, so the first one and the second one, because on those two parts, you only have to deal with one board. And this is one of the limitations we have right now with this native configuration. This native configuration can emulate only one board on the device, and you can then connect this virtual board with your Pylios, and you can just push on different buttons and see what's happening on the Python side. This is just the beginning, and we are continuously working on this thing. And the next step will be to unleash the possibility to emulate multiple nodes on the same computer. So this way you will be able to compile multiple binaries, run all those different binaries on one or multiple computers, and then you will be able to have Pylios controlling all those different programs all over the network, because this emulation use WebSockets to exchange information between the different computers and different programs running under Luos. So this will allow you to simulate and test things only with your computer. So this is the first feature. Now let's switch to the second one, which is about the bootloader multicast upload to increase the speed of the binary upload on your electric boards. So first, let's start by explaining what is a bootloader, because not everyone is aware of this kind of things. So first, you can compile Luos in a specific mode called bootloader, and this will create a piece of binary that will enable the updates of your electric boards with a new firmware using the network this board is connected on. So as you probably know, Luos is the Luos purpose is to be able to deal with multiple electric boards on device. And when you have this kind of configuration, sometimes it's extremely difficult to update the board, specifically if you are working on robotics or complex devices like that, because we don't always have physically access to the electronic boards, allowing you to update the board. So the idea is to just send a new version of the firmware using the network, and to get this new firmware from the network and to copy it in the flash on the microcontroller, allowing you to update the firmware of the device. So to make it, when you compile Luos in bootloader mode, this will create the binary, and this binary have two main parts. As you can see, the two main parts are here on green and yellow. So you have the bootloader application, which will be able to get information from the network, your new firmware, and copy it into a Luos application space, which will be your actual code. When you write your application and compile it, you will be able to send it to the bootloader, and bootloader will be able to write it in the Luos app space. And the shared flash space is used by bootloader on Luos application to share the states of the actual application. So is your application working? Is it running properly? Or if you have any kind of problems, this shared flash memory, we have a specific flag allowing the bootloader to know that there is a problem on your application, and we will keep the program running inside the bootloader, and you will be able to update a new Luos application, which will work, for example, on you. We can deal with a lot of different configuration like that, allowing to switch between bootloader and application. It's something extremely useful when you have complex devices with a lot of different boards and you want to update all those boards at the same time, and you can deal with it with only one command line. So right now, these features is working like that. So when you have a configuration with multiple nodes, as you can see here, I have 4 different nodes. And the first one is a gate. This gate node is allowing to link my computer to all the other boards available on my network. The main goal of the bootloader is to be able to write a command line on my computer here, and I want to send something to the gate, allowing to update the 3 other nodes. To do that, the bootloader will update each board one by one. So we start by just updating the first one. Then, when the first one is updated, we will switch and update the second one, and we will do the same with the last one. And this thing can be extremely boring. let me just show you a quick video demonstrating how boring it is. So as you can see, this kind of update can take a lot of time. And this is specifically extremely frustrating when you have the exact same binary to send to all of those nodes. So the idea of these features, thanks to Victor, which developed these specific features, is to be able to update all the boards with the similar binary at the exact same time. So if you have 11 times the exact same board, which was the case for the stairs you just see previously, you can update 11 times faster. For example, because in my stairs, I have 11 steps, and all of those steps have the exact same binary. Using these features take 11 times less time because I just do it in one update instead of 11 updates. So this is also a new feature, extremely useful thanks to Victor. Also, some other news about the community. That was the main features we released with the 2.7 version of Luos. And all the other features was more improvements on the reliability side or some improvements on the usability side. But there is no big new features else than the two ones I just presented to you for this release. Some of the news. Recently, we ran a contest where all of you would just ask friends to join this community, and the contest was about the one that invite the most people outside of this community. And Sunrise Falcon just won this contest, so congratulations, Sunrise Falcon. And stay tuned because we will launch some other contests like that, regarding some piece of technology, some projects, or any kind of things related to this community on this technology too. Also, we are extremely close to 10,000 people on this community, and we will probably be 10,000 in a few hours. So thank you to everyone, because this is thanks to all of you that we are facing so insanely a growth on this community on Discord. And that's why we start to have some issues about the number of people able to join this kind of live. So this is extremely good news about this community. Also, the last thing I want to mention is that we recently published our roadmap on our website. And the idea of this roadmap is to explain to you what are the next steps about this technology, and what is the next plan on what will be the next main features we will work on beginning of the next year. So let me just talk a little bit to you about these different things we plan to work on. So we have two main different things we plan to work on. We have the yellow things. The yellow things are new features inside the open source Luos engine technology, and the red things are new things. And those new things will be tools that you will be able to use to scale the usage of this technology if you are working on a company. So the first features we will work on the open source library is called Luos Engine v3. So we will work on the v3 version 3 of Luos, and this will mostly unleash the usage of any kind of network with the Luos engine technology, because right now Luos is really suited to work with half duplex low-level networks such as OneWire or RS-485 or small network like that. But some of you guys want to use this technology on different kind of network. And with this new version of Luos, you will be able to deal with it easily and to add absolutely any kind of network in this technology. After that, we plan to work on something we call the multi-features, which will allow Luos to deal with multiple networks at the same time. Because right now, we only can deal with one network at a time. And this can be an issue, for example, if you have a device using any kind of RS485 communication, and you have also a Wi-Fi connection through a cloud application or any kind of other application, and you would like to link this application directly with the other boards running on the embedded side. And this will be possible thanks to the multi-fee features, because you will be able to deal with Wi-Fi communications on any kind of other serial communication or anything on the embedded side, and to aggregate all those applications, right, all those different networks as if they were all located in the same place. After that, we also plan to continue working on this open source technology, and we will try and make it work on all the configuration possible, and even directly into a web browser. And to do that, we plan to compile this technology into WebAssembly, allowing you to develop web applications that will be natively compatible with any low-level embedded applications. And at the end, we plan to work on something we call Luos certification. This features is specifically suited for critical devices that need specific security, that have specific security concern. So basically the idea is to create like a certificate hosted into all the boards, allowing anyone to have information about these boards. And then you can just select if you create rules, allowing you to access or not to these different boards. So that's it about the main features we plan to, the main big features we plan to develop on the coming years. Also, we plan to work on some tools allowing you to improve the usage of this technology when you are developing your project on your product. So the first one we will create is called Luos Hub. The idea of this thing is to create a web platform allowing you to share the services you develop with the other users of the community. And also you will be able to reuse the services developed by others directly into your project. The idea of Luos is to allow developers to reuse things from others, and the idea is also to don't care about how developers develop these specific features, because you just have those APIs allowing you to just access the information in the different services running on the different boards you have. So this hub will allow you to share your development with others and others to reuse the development you just create. After that, we plan to work on Luos Inspector, which is an inspection tool allowing you to debug your device and to display any event on any electronic boards on your device at a nanosecond scale in a web browser, allowing you to understand and debug your device. And the last tool will be really dedicated to companies or team developing products. And this Luos manager will use the hub thing, allowing you to deal with different revision of the different package and dependencies you have on your product. The inspection tools allowing you to inspect what's happening inside your product at a given configuration. And also Luos Manager will use the remote update on the bootloader features available on Luos Engine to provide a complete CI/CD toolchain for your project development. And also if you want to industrialize anything, you will be able to use this tool to get feedback on updates and deploy new revision of your product. So this is the main idea of where we are going. And that's it about this keynote. Now it will be time if you have any questions about any of the things I just presented to you, or if you have any other questions related to Luos, please feel free to ask me. So to ask questions, you can just unlock your mic if you are on Discord, and if you are not on Discord, you can just write on the chat, and some guys from the team will just relay the questions you have to me. Okay, so there is a lot of guys discussing on general, but I don't had any time to read it. I don't know if there is any questions. If there is, perhaps you can just copy paste the questions at the end. Okay, so Aaron Moss just asked us to give some example of real use cases of Luos. So we have guys using Luos. So at the beginning, this technology was developed for robotics because robotics I know what this is. This is where I came, and I developed this technology for my own robot development. So this technology is particularly suited for robotics applications. And today we have a lot of guys developing robots. So there is some guys on the community called Nimblebots, which are developing insane robots, and they shared recently some pictures about the robot they are working on. This is a robot dedicated with a lot of different motors, which is like a kind of industrial arm able to work on a nuclear plant. So this is an insane device. Also, we start to have other users that we also appears on this community working on some IoT devices, and specifically on the box bag, allowing you to train. And this is like a connected box bag. So this company is called Boxco. Also, we have guys working on like 3D printers, but dedicated to fabric. Which is insanely complex. So I will not be able to explain to you how this kind of things is working, but they have a lot of different motors actioning a lot of different mechanic things and a lot of sensors, and they are using Luos to synchronize all those things together to create like a 3D shaped fabric. So yeah, we have a lot of different kind of applications. Also, we heard about, there is also some guys working on 3-axis motors running like a rotula, so a perfect point of rotation for 3 axes. We also heard about guys working on some medical devices, and some other guys that don't want to share with us what they are working on actually, because this is probably some military or secret devices. So yeah, we start to have a big variety of kind of devices, but the thing to keep in mind is that most of the users using Luos have multiple electronic boards and also a connected product. If you have one of those two things, Luos can make sense for your project. So yeah, we have a comment from Alexander Cox that's saying that Luos is going to be the standard in the open source IoT industry soon. Thank you for your support, Alexander Cox. Yeah, perhaps the idea of Luos is to break the frontier between embedded on normal software industry, because right now, even if you are dealing with simple IoT devices with any kind of Linux on top of it, you still have a specific way to deal with hardware, and you don't develop the same things the same way, and exchanging information between the information you get on the electronic side and to get information, those information in the cloud side is not something always easy to do. And the idea of Luos is to be able to extend this microservice philosophy we have on the software world into the hardware product, allowing you to have like a coherent architectures on your complete product development. So yes, this is particularly suited for IoT and specifically for complex IoT device. What I mean by complex IoT device is devices with multiple boards inside the actual device, such as, I don't know, a car for me is an IoT device, because today most of the modern car are connected to the internet, and there is a lot of different boards inside. But right now, the electronic boards inside the car don't directly have access to the internet, because there is only one board with like 5G or anything like that communication having access to the internet. So the other one don't have. And the idea of Luos is to share those features to all the boards. So if you have one board able to access internet, this board will be able to share this feature to all the other one, allowing all the other boards to access to any other application on the other side, on the internet or on a mobile phone application, or I don't know. So yes, I hope this will become a standard for IoT devices and connected devices more generally. And thanks you a lot for your support, Alexander Cox. Either any other, another question from Jerry Khan. Your bootloader is great. Are these such tools in other companies which can upload firmware on different MCUs? Doing that seems obvious, but I never seen that anywhere before. So we don't invent the concept of bootloader. This is something you can find of a lot of different products. And if you already have, I don't know, any kind of GoPro camera or something like that, you probably experience the usage of a bootloader, because when you update this camera is using a bootloader somewhere in the electronic board to deal with this remote update feature. But this is still something extremely difficult to do today, because you can't find a ready-to-use bootloader, because this is something extremely close to the hardware, and this bootloader need to be specifically written to access your microcontroller on your specific electronic board's network, but also your microcontroller flash. With Luos, we need to access both of those things, and we make everything to make it easy. And we create like something we call the hardware abstraction layer, allowing us to just have the Luos layer and to switch different kind of hardware abstraction layer, allowing the same piece of code to access differently to the different kind of hardware you could have on your actual product. And with that, we can adapt this bootloader with any kind of hardware configuration. Of course, you still need to explain Luos how to access this network and how to access the flash. So we created a lot of different hardware abstraction layers, allowing you to use default configuration depending on the microcontroller you want to use. And if you have specific configuration, specifically on the network side, we have the not config.h, which is like a configuration file, allowing you to just tell Luos which is the UART you want to use, which DMA, direct memory access you want to use, on all of those things, allowing Luos to deal with your specific configuration on the hardware side. But we don't invent these bootloader features. We just make it standard, and this allow you to simply compile when you have Luos running somewhere on your electronic board, you are able to compile Luos in a bootloader mode, allowing you to remote update any firmware. So there is also another question. Today's society is rightfully very concerned with the impact we have on our environment. Does using Luos in a project possibly better the environmental impact we have, and if so, how? So the main purpose of Luos is not really to save environments, and this is not the main goal of Luos. Our main goal is to simplify the way developers develop hardware devices, and to make those hardware devices modular. But those two things can be like a little bit green for companies. First, because developers spend less time to develop things, and as you know, developers consume a lot of resources when we are developing. And the idea of Luos is to save developers some time and allow them to just reuse some things to create products. And this saves you some time because you don't have to redevelop all those things. And also because we have this modular way to create the device, this can simplify the way you can repair a specific device. Because instead, when something is broken, even if it's extremely old, you don't specifically need to drop all the complete device. You could only just switch one piece extremely easily, and even if this piece is not existing anymore, for example, I don't know, if one distance sensor is not existing anymore, you could switch from this old sensor to a new one, but because of the API provided on top of the Luos services will remain the same, you will be able to use this new version of this distance sensor the exact same way. And this could allow you to maintain your product a lot more longer, because you will be able to make it evolve piece by piece without having to change the complete device each time you want to change a little thing somewhere. Okay, again, a lot more questions. If Luos is made for developing hardware, why the native tools? So the native tool is more about simulating and understanding the purpose of Luos and how Luos is working. Because we have a lot of guys trying to follow our get started tutorials, and during these get started tutorials, before this native release, people had to grab an electric board and make network between those boards to test our technology. And now, thanks to these native features, even if they don't have the board any kind of board, they can test the first features of Luos, allowing them to just understand the main concept without the board. So yeah, that's the main subject about the native things, is to allow newcomers and new developers to test extremely easily this technology without having to access electronic boards. Okay, another questions. Okay, the bootloader looks promising, but isn't secure enough in case that we have a system that we cannot have physical access to the board after production. This is a really, really good question, because if you update a firmware and I don't know, for any way your firmware is corrupted in any way, you don't want to break the board and force you to unmount everything on your bots, on your robot, on your device to get out the board and update it using a USB connection. So everything on this bootloader is meant to avoid your application to broke. So when you upload a new application on the Luos side, we check a lot of different things, allowing to validate that your application is running properly. And if you have an issue later on your application, perhaps after 1 hour of execution, you have a big issue and your application just crashed. The bootloader will be able to detect that you just crashed, and with this crash, we will be able to go back on bootloader and notify everyone that, okay, this application just crashed, so now you can just upload a new one, or you can just force to reboot this application. So right now, you still have some things to take care of on your application, specifically if you have some hard fault handler, on your hard fault handler, you will need to call a specific function allowing to notify the bootloader that you just crashed. But after that, that's it. You just have to modify this on your application, and then we are able to just detect when your application just crashed, and then we can go back to bootloader, allowing you to choose which you want to do. What do you want to do with this crashed application? So now you can you can be sure that this application will work properly, and you can use it. Just flash your bootloader one time, and then you will never have to reflash your board using the USB connections inside the board. Okay, so another questions on Discord. Hello, I am from Juan. Hello, I am new at Embedded System Engineering. So my question is, can I use Luos as a start point to learn about this field? Yes, you can, for sure. The main thing about learning Luos, learning embedded system with Luos, is that Luos is allowing you to keep things simple. For example, if you want to develop a simple applications, when you push on a button, you want to light up a LED. With Luos, you just have to start by developing, for example, just the button. You just create the driver of this button. Then you will be able to see the result of what you do. But you don't need to develop a more complex application to get back the results of this simple driver. And then after that, you can create the LED and test the LED, see if everything is working. Then you can create an application that gets information of this button and turn on or off the button, the LED, sorry. And then you can create your application step by step and validate each step one by one, and validate also that if you just compose your more complex application by just adding those different features you develop, everything is working well. So this is allowing you to create complex things with extremely small steps, and this allow you to start small and to go big. So another question from Alexander Cox. Do you plan to add support from Bicom devices? So yeah, they are using two ESP32 on one board. Right now, we never had anyone asking us about those specific devices, but right now we know them, so we know that Alexander, you want to use this kind of things. So yeah, the idea is to adapt and port Luos to the different boards you guys are asking us. So if you are working on a board that is not already working on Luos, feel free to share it with us, and we always maintain a list of boards we plan to work on. So yeah, if you have any board that we don't already support, please feel free to ask us exactly what Alexander just did. And I will have to have a look at this board because I don't know exactly how Bicom devices is working, but perhaps it's already working because we are already supporting USB32, but right now I don't know. If there are any other questions, no other questions. There is a lot of guys discussing on Discord. Yeah. Timonier, I don't know how to pronounce your name. TM Oni. Do you have any question? No question. Okay. So I guess perhaps this is the end of this slide. If you miss some questions, or if I miss your questions, don't worry, we will make some other live sessions, and the next one will be probably a Q&A session only dedicated to questions. So stay tuned, and we will talk to you about this kind of events on the Discord channel. So feel free to reach our Discord community if you don't already logged in this community. And see you soon, guys. Thank you. Bye.